Do you hate your washing machine at home? What if I told you you were using your washing machine wrong? That's right. If you own a modern washing machine, I've been told by a very reputable source that modern problems require modern solutions. You can take a good washing machine and hate it. Likewise, you could take a washing machine that may not be that great to other people and run it the right way and get some amazing results out of it. So in this video, I'm going to share 10 practical ways you're probably using your machine wrong and how to use it properly. For the first one, we're going to talk about using mesh laundry bags for your delicates and your socks. This is one that I asked the users on the channel how many people actually use these, and I found out that 80% of the people that watch my channel don't use a mesh laundry bag. Here's why these matter, is if you have delicates, socks, and especially baby socks, you want to put them in these bags so they don't twist, bind, or degrade in the wash. This is also very important for brassieres with underwires in them. Underwires are an appliance repair guy's best friend. They get out from the bra, they get underneath the wash plate causing grinding noises, or they will go into the drain pump and just destroy your drain pump, which we're going to talk a lot about in the video. So I highly suggest getting laundry bags and using them, especially for those baby socks, because there was one time in our store we got a stacked laundry center, and when we opened it up, we found 46 socks in the drum because they weren't using mesh laundry bags, and those socks were spilling over the top into the chassis of the unit. Another thing you can use in addition to the mesh laundry bags are shoe bags. These are a little bit more expensive and bougie, but the advantage with these is you can put your shoes in them to get the shoes clean and spare a lot of problems with just running typical shoes in your units. These have little brushes and bristles in them to clean your shoes, but you can put your delicates in it just the same. It doubles for either or. I will have a link to these in the description as they really weren't that expensive overall. Next, this one is something we've talked about a lot, and that is detergent. The reality is most people overuse the detergent in their washing machine considerably. I was really interested in trying to quantify this, so I invited the employees of the company in, as well as shoppers at our store, to test their knowledge on how much laundry detergent you're supposed to do for an average load of clothes. And here's what we found when we were doing this study, is that 8 out of 10 of our staff and customers that we did this test on were putting too much detergent in their washing machine for the load of clothes that we have exactly here, which is 8 pounds. Here's what happens when you use too much detergent in your washing machine. It doesn't get your clothes any cleaner, and because of the way that high efficiency washing machines now work, the detergent sometimes will not get fully out of your clothes, leaving them to feel less than fresh, less than laundered properly, and that may be why you hate your washing machine as it is. The proper amount of laundry detergent can vary by brand of detergent. There is no super special number. Medium loads tend to quote unquote be about 4.5 tablespoons or 60 milliliters, but it will vary depending on the concentration of detergent. One of the other reasons you don't want to overuse your detergent is that since it won't wash out of the machine properly, it can build up residue, gunk, and nastiness in it, leading to mold, mildew, and degradation of the spider bracket in your machine. Now, some units do have auto dispensers in them to take the guesswork out. This is one feature on some modern appliances I do think is worth the money and is worth considering because of how the weight of clothes will vary from load to load. Having the exact appropriate amount for your washing machine is something that will save your machine maintenance as well as a lot of money, because detergent can be rather expensive over the course of an entire machine's life. Speaking of auto dispensers, this video is actually being sponsored by Samsung with their Samsung Bespoke AI washer dryer combo. If you've ever watched the channel for very long, you know that I've tested and reviewed this quite extensively in another video, and I really like this combo unit. I'm going to be putting it in the apartment that I lived at for 12 years for the next people that are going to live there. In my apartment, I don't have the space for a traditional washer dryer pair, and this will allow the new tenants to be able to do all of their laundry one and done in a much smaller space. It runs off of 120 volts instead of 240 volts, making installation much easier. And with the fact that it's ventless, it's even more simple than that. You can put it essentially anywhere that you have water and a drain, which is really convenient. And it does pair nicely with its Samsung SmartThings app. If you've never tried the Samsung SmartThings app with a laundry unit, it's really, really cool. It will tell you when your laundry is done, making laundry easier than ever. I am surprised how much I used it in my tests. But you don't have to take my word for a sponsorship by Samsung. You can just watch the 26-minute test and tear down of this unit that I did last year. And I have a video for the vented version as well that we just did a few months ago. Make sure to check out Samsung.com, and I'll have a link for that because they do have some special offers for customers as well as some rebates that are there that would be useful. And again, thanks to Samsung for sponsoring the video. Keeping with the front load that I have here, let's talk about keeping the door open to your front load washing machine. A lot of people do this, but there is a surprising percentage of people that watch our channel that still don't keep the door open on their front load washing machine. You need fresh air to get into your front loader, which comes naturally with a top loader just because there's openings in it. When you keep the door sealed, it can cause mold, mildew, and other buildups in your machine that everybody hates. But there is a big problem with keeping the door open. We get a lot of complaints from people on the channel that don't like to keep the door open. But let's say you're in a situation where you don't want pets or small husbands to climb in the machine and get stuck. Well, there is a solution for that. And that would be to use a magnetized hook that is customizable that will let you keep the door closed to a certain length. This one will actually customize to where you can shape it around the door to a very specific level to make sure that door will open, but not too much. Next, this one's been talked about quite a bit on TikTok, and that is against fabric softener. Fabric softener is the devil. I know that people use it because it makes their clothes feel softer, but if you use the right amount of laundry detergent, you may not need to use it at all. Here's why fabric softener is such a problem. People do overuse it just like detergent, and the issue is that since it's a fatty substance, it will get stuck inside your washing machine really, really easy. It will build up a lot of gunk and junk inside, whether it's your detergent dispenser or behind the drum, that would cause a lot of issues. I know Derek Dennis has a lot of videos on washer cleanouts showing just how nasty it is, so I would make sure to avoid fabric softener entirely. What other solutions are out there that would mirror fabric softener? And the answer to that is white vinegar. I know vinegar has an odor to it, but when you run it in a washing machine in lieu of fabric softener, any of the odors will get washed out and you are left with very soft clothing. Even better, white vinegar will go in and actually clean the inside of your washing machine to prevent other buildups and problems that you'll experience with your washing machine. The next tip is something that I've made a few videos on, and that is making sure that you wash your washing machine. You need to be running a cleaning cycle on your machine, regardless if it's a top or front loader, once a month. Here's why. Because machines in the current time usually use less water than ever, it allows for more buildups of the detergent, of the fabric, of just the residuals in any manner. And if you don't run a cleaning cycle, those buildups will cause damage to your machine if there's metal or rubber or any other sort of buildup in them. Some machines do have tub cleaning cycles and modes on them that you can run, but let's say that you don't have any sort of special mode like a self-clean such as this machine does. Run a sanitized cycle or a long cycle with the hottest water possible. I would also combine that really warm or hot cycle with a washing machine cleaner. There are tons on the market out there from many different brands. And the secret is all the formulas out there are generally the same. They all have citric acid in them, as well as different sodiums like bicarbonate, percarbonate, or just standard carbonate in them. Some of them will use fat burning pills to eat away at fabric softener, but the reality is it doesn't matter what you use necessarily as long as you use something. Some manufacturers will allow you to use bleach instead, and that is another option, but just make sure to read your manual to figure out what is the best for your machine. But generally, as long as you do it, that's what matters. Another way that a lot of people use their washing machine wrong is they overload the machine of clothes. What should you actually put in your machine? The answer is going to vary by make and model. Samsung suggests that you only put about 1.5 to 2 pounds of clothes in your machine based on the cubic foot. So, for example, with this Samsung, I think this is about a 4.1 cubic foot. So you'd want to put a little over 8.5 pounds of clothes in it for a standard load, which is what we have here. The challenge is, how do you even load your washing machine? Do you just dump your load of clothes in it like a Mongol horde invading Kiev in 1240 AD? Well, if you're doing it the way that I just did it here, chances are you're loading your machine wrong. Depending on the style of your machine, you want to do a few different strategies. The first thing you want to do is take each piece of individual clothing and drop it in the basket. That way it can spread out and take up more volume in the machine to allow for better agitation, mixing, and actually laundering your clothes. The next suggestion is, if you have a machine that has an impeller in it or a wash plate with no agitator, you want to put those clothes in a donut pattern around the wash plate itself so that the clothes will primarily be loaded where the paddles are. If you have a unit with a standard top load agitator, you want to make sure you don't fill the clothes up more than to the top of the agitator or where the top of the vanes are. Also, make sure you don't overload the machines. How would you know your clothes are being overloaded in the machine? Typically, over 2/3 of the drum being full is considered an overloaded state if you're dropping them in individually. If you're dumping the whole box in and packing it full, you're overloading the machine, blowing the suspension rods out, which is going to cause you a lot of problems, leading to like UL or UR errors on practically every machine on the market. Another thing that you want to do is make sure not to load heavy and light items inside your washing machine simultaneously. That means if you have cotton hoodies, sweatpants, sweatshirts, jeans, or other very thick fabrics, don't load them with your t-shirts, because what will typically happen is one side will be filled with your heavy items, another side will be filled with your light items. And what will happen is, with that overloading, when it runs in spin, one side will be disproportionate and it will cause an unbalanced error on the machine, or the machine will act like it's running properly and just degrade the suspension rods much faster than what they should last. We're seeing tons of machines out in the wild between 2 and 4 years failing because of the suspension rods, and it's always because people aren't loading their machines right. This is probably the biggest, most common error people are making, is overloading their machines. The next tip, and we're almost through all of them, is to check the pockets of your clothes before you put them in the washing machine. My mom would be really proud that I'm referencing this tip in the video. You may find things that would definitely damage your washing machine. I don't know how this is the second time that I found a Metallica album in one of our washers or dryers. If I had a nickel for every time we found a terrible Metallica album in one of our appliances on the channel, I'd have 2 nickels. But make sure to check your pockets for any sort of debris. It will end up getting underneath the wash plate or into the drain pump, causing a lot of damage to either of those systems. Sometimes it will be things that are like change. Sometimes it could just be receipts, but either way, it can damage your machine. And we've kind of referenced this in the video throughout, is to check your manual. The truth is that it doesn't matter what brand of appliance you have. Every manufacturer actually complains that people that buy their appliances aren't reading their manuals, so they have no idea how to actually run their machines. I have ran machines that people think don't work very well and had amazing, stellar results with low-end washing machines just because I read the manual before I used it. And this is even more true with high-end washers and dryers. If you're upgrading from a machine that's 10, 15, 20 years old, chances are the new washing machine you have is going to run differently than what you're used to, needs loaded differently, needs a different amount of detergent in it, and other such things. And if you read your manual, you'll find out if there's any quirks or differences with this new machine that you're not used to. And if you can't find the manual for your appliance, just go online and look up the model number of the appliance you have and then search for the manual. If you don't know where your model number is, typically it's on the inside of the drum of your washer or dryer. Could be at the top, could be at the bottom, but it will have that model number. Manufacturers typically make it very easy to find the manuals online because they desperately want you to read them. Some programs like Samsung's Smart Things app will have the manual even online for the machine if you've onboarded it through registration. I would especially read the use and care sections, as well as how to load the appliance. If you read those two sections, that's going to contain most of the useful advice. Usually it's only about 3 to 5 pages, and it will allow your machine to run better than ever. One of the final tips that I have for you is on mostly front loaders. Check to see if your machine has a drain pump filter on it. Not every model has it, but most do. You want to make sure that if you do have a pump filter housing, that you open it up every 6 to 9 months and clean the filter housing out. Some brands makes and models will even have little rubber hoses in them to drain the water before you open up the filter housing. We've talked about the drain pumps multiple times getting damaged in the video. They can be very expensive to fix, and they always go bad because of the debris that gets inside. If you clean it out, you're going to prevent that pump typically from dying, or at least it will last a whole lot longer. Now, not every brand, make, and model have these. It's mostly a front loader thing, but there are a few brand, make, and models of top load washers that may have them as well. The very last tip that I have for you doesn't even involve either of these washing machines or any washing machine at all, and that is looking at the labels on the clothes that you're doing. It is very important that you check the use and care guides of the clothes you're doing and typically matching them from item to item. Cotton washes differently than polyester, which washes differently than wool, and all the other synthetics that are out there. And the thing is, if you don't read the labels and wash them according to how they're supposed to, you're not going to get the soil out of the clothes, or it could even damage the fabrics that are in your items that you're trying to wash and clean. Keep like items together and you'll get a better quality soil removal on the various garments that you have. Man, that makes me wonder, I should check the use and care guides on the stuff that I'm wearing on the video. Oh wow, that's such a huge money-saving tip. Who knew this video was going to end up saving me so much money? I hope some of these tips helped you. Make sure to like and subscribe and get ready for the next video in our laundry room. I'm very excited to do more and more in this new room that we have. We're going to do a lot of repairs, a lot of reviews, and hopefully save you guys even more money. Have a great day.